Jon Voight, who is, don't get me wrong, is a miracle just as a human being. Never, I mean, honestly, like, if they ever make a movie of Clint Eastwood yelling at a chair, Jon Voight could play him. I'm just saying, it would be great casting. So, and this is, by the way, this is Jon Voight without makeup. And Jon Voight, for those of you who don't know, is a classically trained lunatic and actor, and who has become, over the last few years, not just a Trumpster, not just a Ted Nugent, fan of Trump's anti-political correctness. I like him because he shoots from the lip kind of attitude. He's one of these straight up, like, he's going to be reinstalled as he will be the president in August because baby eaters. Like he bit the Pizzagate apple, which is really weird considering his kids. Like, you just talk about Republicans and family values, and then this. If you all, like, we love Angelina Jolie and her great works across the globe, but some of you might remember that she was married to Billy Bob Thornton, which in and of itself should point to daddy issues on some front. Because some people don't know, my first movie ever was working with Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, he was super weird. Anyways, and I was at an American Heart Association benefit where he played with his band, and they were supposed to do 3 songs, and they did 12 songs, and it was a nightmare. Anyways, but he did do his song Angelina, and they were married for 3 years, it says, and they wore necklaces with each other's blood around them. And then, of course, at the Oscars, she said, "I'm so in love with her brother, my brother right now." And then she said, I think he's a really good kisser. Yeah, she made out with him and by the way, like, I swear to God, if I opened the drapes and these two were outside my window, I'd be like, well, you can't come in unless I invite you. Plus, I'm covered in garlic. Piss off. It looks like Michael Moriarty in the background. I don't know. So anyways, so when you're going to, if you think of Jon Voight, you can't think of Jon Voight and not kind of deal with the fact that it's not just he's an actor and you know him and he decided to Ron Silva or something and get political at some point. We all do. Whatever. Who cares? It's that he's straight up, well, here you go. He's going to tell us how woke started. That's the thing. And that's why I wanted to watch this. I don't know what he's going to say, but at least somebody's going to explain to me how how Hollywood became so woke. My guess, it has something to do with Roots and Holocaust movies. Probably.
Veritas.
Oh, get out of here. Okay, and my speakers are on in here, and I'm going to go completely deaf if I don't turn them off. Okay, that'll be nutty. Okay, now I've turned that off, and there we go. And then here we go with this dude.
Hey, John.
Hey, oh no. Please tell me, is this Greg Kelly interviewing him? I just saw the clip with Jon Voight. I didn't know Greg Kelly was. Oh.
Voight. Few people in the world have had the career of this guy. Look at these great movies.
Yeah. You want to talk about the origins of woke? Midnight Cowboy might be right up there.
Midnight Cowboy, Runaway Train. Hey, The Champ, one of my favorites.
Of course it is.
And more recently, Ray Donovan, and the list goes on and on. You may also know him as a great friend and great supporter of President Donald Trump.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, makes finally Greg Kelly has a moment this week where he can be happy. Okay? The world is falling to shit. Have you seen the bus depot lately?
Not everybody in Hollywood likes that.
Is Jon Voight in Hollywood? Seriously, judging from his kids, he looks like he lives in a castle in Romania.
It's one of the reasons why we really like Jon Voight. He's talented, he's gutsy, and he's our guest on Newsmax. Jon Voight, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you, sir?
He looks like a Christopher Walken impersonator who's on his day off. Normally I work parties with this hairdo. I'm trying to get the jobs he turns down.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Terrific, and it's great to see you. Hey, listen, I know you've received an Academy Award. What did you think of last night's Academy Awards?
Oh, it's filth. Did you see the Asian lady won something? It's gross. What's happening?
Well, they had a tough go because, you know, very few people have seen those films in a theater.
Yeah, because you can only tell when a movie's good in the theater. Please don't go on a diatribe against Blockbuster.
You know, and just checking them in critically and just seeing what's going on here and there. The people didn't have a chance to sit down and really enjoy those films, and that's it.
No, they didn't. They had to stand the entire time. Most people don't know this, but whenever Jon Voight sees a movie that's possibly directed by a minority, he stands the whole time and paces.
That's tough for all the performers and all of the people responsible.
John, Greg doesn't care. He wants to talk about the wokeness of the thing and how a white person didn't win for best director. What the hell?
For those films. So it was it's a tough thing for them to have to come to this year and have their work in this situation. But, you know, God hasn't stopped making talent. They're all very gifted people, and they had a wonderful night last night, I'm sure, everybody.
You know, they are very talented people, but more and more it seems like they're working in a box.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. They're not in theaters. They're on television. You have to watch it on. It's the little box. It's a little light box in your living room.
It's a box.
Oh boy. There is no room inside a box. There is no room inside.
Designed by, I'm not exactly sure who's putting it together, but it says that you have to speak in a certain way and you have to act a certain way. And
I know. Who was it? Who put it? The whole thing must have put the whole thing together. Probably probably Spielberg, insisting, and Bill Gates, and Bill Gates's wife. And
I'm not talking about the craft of acting, and you have to support certain candidates. And I know.
Yeah, but look at this thing. Like Greg Kelly has like a list of things he's supposed to be upset at right there, and that they're supposed to shit. He was supposed to crap on it right out of the gate. Now what do I do?
I know Hollywood's always kind of been a little bit to the left.
Yeah? What's to the left? Define to the left, asshole. Seriously. What? That gay people should be able to live normal, free lives like everybody else? That slavery was bad and black people should have every right and opportunity that everyone else? That women should be able to earn money if they want to, have the life they live, choose the path of their life. What the fuck is the left part of this? I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what exactly is left about Hollywood in these terms. Now, I am singling in, I have to say, guys, on the kind of discussion I had a couple of days ago about the idea that there is no left and right, that they are satellites to the earth, and the rest of us just live on Earth interacting with other people and getting along, and that the lunatics and the fringe people in both ideologies at what we usually call the left and the right are really just kind of satellites that rotate around the sides of it. Some are big enough or get big enough occasionally to change the tides on Earth, but ultimately they are still extraterrestrial. They are beyond normal. There's not a spectrum of just how left and how right are you. It's an infantile thing largely based on the geography of inside the House of Representatives.
But it seems off the charts right now.
It is. Look at that yellow. I mean, look, there's a black dude with blonde hair. What the shit is happening?
Is that the case?
Please say yes. That's why we're having you on, John. You're a lunatic. Go for it. Let your freak flag fly.
Yes.
Okay. Thank God.
Yes, let's face it.
Oh my God, my dear friend Diane Warren. Look at her wearing a mask where her eyes are barely exposed, saying, "You are seen," bumping into furniture. Diane, what are you doing? By the way, she's one of the greatest animal rights activists that's out there, and the work that she does for like, spaying and neutering pets and the Humane Society and Prop 2 and all that kind of stuff. We love you, Diane, and all your work. I'm just saying. She's crazy. She's absolutely, and if you want to talk about like she would bury these two fuckers with her sense of humor. They'd be like, oh, she's probably going to be all politically incorrect. She would stomp a mud hole in these dickheads and march it dry. They would be on a chair, like pulling their their jacket lapels up. Oh, good Lord.
The Democrat Party.
Oh, my God. Are those devil shoes? Are those the devil shoes? What is are these the names of Breonna Taylor? So they're wearing shoes with people's names on them that were killed by the police. With his yellow suit and his blonde. Is that woke or is that sort of weirdly disrespectful? It depends on, I guess, your cultural feeling about what shoes mean, right?
Which is obviously
oh my God, look at Asian lady one. And she's got ponytails I don't understand.
Way now has been overtaken by the left. And
look at that. Yeah, she's is that Laura Dern wearing goat leggings? They're going straight to the Eyes Wide Shut Satan party right after this, right? How are you going to get baby blood out of that thing? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? It looks like the scene in Dragnet where Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd are... Drugs? No, thank you. I had a big lunch.
It's very anti-American, actually.
Oh, this is very anti-American. Why is it, what's anti-American about it? Have they discussed what the shit left means? Because it kind of helps. It would be helpful to this discussion if... I'm kidding. It's not a discussion. It's two lunatics commiserating. But if it were a discussion, let's just say out on the possibility, that it would help to actually say, when I say woke, I mean...
So it's a tough time right now. Really.
Yeah, it's rough. It's very hard as a Christopher Walken impressionist to get a job.
In the battle.
Look, there's that guy again. There were two black guys there with the same suit on and blonde hair and dead. Oh, I see. The names of the dead were inside is because you got to coordinate.
The country.
I want to take a look. America seems to be tuning out.
Oscars ratings plunge 58%, hit all-time low. Well, I mean, it's first of all, we're not out of the pandemic, so award shows a bit weird this year just in general. They're obviously not going to have the big pageantry and stuff like that, but nobody went to the movies last year.
You mentioned COVID. I understand that's a problem.
Do you really?
But it looks like they're down from 50% since last time. That's a big hit. You know, these.
Gee, it's almost as if this one happened right before or at the beginning of the pandemic when we thought we were going to get through it, and this one's a reflection of the fact that we've all been watching from home, and it was basically the cable Ace Awards, because that's kind of the issue. That's kind of what it was this year. If you guys are old enough to remember the cable Ace Awards,
performers, and they love the art. I'm not sure that they are as political as they're being portrayed. Like, where is this coming from?
You. This, like, 4 people doing activist shit at the Oscars or saying something when they win or feel like they have to, everyone wants to be Marlon Brando in their moment right now because it feels like a giant ego trip to get a gold statue after 564,000 Americans have died and there's still a pandemic worldwide and America's having to send stuff to India so they can make vaccine so that their people don't die. It's a little weird going, hey, thanks, I am awesome, you're right. You do love me, you really love me. They'll normalize back to that. Right now, it's a little wonky. And at times when things are politically spiking on certain issues, there is pressure, not just on the performers, to come out and address these things so they don't seem oblivious to the world around them. But you guys pick 4 people out of there and go, oh, God, they want to destroy the world.
Do they all naturally hate Donald?
I don't know if Angelina lets him see the grandkids. Yeah. Greg's logo doesn't match up? No, I don't.
Trump, is that it? I mean, if you want to be an actor, what do you care about who's in the White House? I mean,
well, it matters. See, for a lot of us, it does matter because we want the middle class to grow. Because the middle class, the bigger the middle class, the easier it is for entertainers to make a living. Because there's no upside to 9 rich people running everything, having all the money, and everybody else being too poor to do anything but work, feed themselves, and sleep. And especially if you're in the movies, you need people to have extra money in their pocket to go see a movie, buy popcorn, sit down, go out on dates, go to dinner, and increasingly that costs money. So you're talking about a $60, $70 night that you're going to do. And and if you're making minimum wage, you're talking about 10 hours of your work week just to go see a movie, right? If you're going to take someone out on a date anyways, right? So over the course of that, that's why actors want the middle class to grow out of self-interest beyond everything else. Why you want a thriving middle class is because there's no joy. I mean, maybe there is for some people. Maybe Jon Voight would love to be doing plays for the king, but I don't, as a comedian, I have no interest in being a court jester for a king and 12 rich assholes. I would rather perform to the crowd and be able to make my living giving a gift to the widest number of people who can afford it and not go, well, you spent everything seeing that show. We can't do anything for a month. That's why.
To a certain point, where is this coming from, this impetus, this push to go so far to the left?
First of all, again, what the fuck do you mean by left? Because leftist politics in general, and for real, and this is why I'm really having at it with the right and left argument insofar as just this geography aspect of it, or even what the fuck it means, that when they say left, what they mean is gay rights, trans rights, black people not being killed by the police, those kind of when leftism really is Marxism and Leninist philosophy, and it's an economic anti-capitalist concept. That's the only thing that really reads in terms of left, as a genuine political theory. There is nothing intrinsically about, people wanting racial equality, people wanting gay people to have every right and privilege that everyone else has, or trans people being able to be safe in their lives, that makes it intrinsically left or right. I don't know what the argument is there. Why is that not also considering freedom and America and the Constitution and, we the people, right? That's what all they're clamoring about. Why does we the people exclude certain people, and that's a right-wing kind of philosophy? And the not excluding those people is somehow left-wing instead of basic humanity and normalcy. See what I'm saying? I don't know what the fuck they mean by left.
Well,
there is no spoon? Yeah, well, it's entirely. Do not try to bend the spoon, for that is impossible. Only try to realize the truth. What's that? There is no spoon.
I'm going to go back a little bit. I grew up in the 60s,
grew up.
Started my career
sexually stunted in the 60s.
Here in the late 60s, and
I was born in the latest 60s.
That was a very destructive time for our country, and it started out with the trauma of us losing our very popular president, John Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed like many elements came forth to disrupt off of that trauma. And one of them certainly was the KGB, but there was a...
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, so the killing of Kennedy led to a rise of the KGB in America. This is going to be good.
There was just a big influx of negativity, and it is...
Well, yeah, I've always known, that's the thing I've always said about the KGB. They were all crabby. What do you want me to do? We're all rude, of course. We have to stand in line for toilet paper even though we murder people for our state. We fight for the proletariat. I don't know which. I fight for something like that, and I still got to. How do you feel to be a super assassin? Here, James Bond runs all over the place, shooting people and stuff. He's got Lamborghinis and Aston Martins and watches that shoot little lasers, and I'm the 007 of Moscow. I have to stand in line for toilet paper. Of course, I'm a little irritated.
Mark, there's a book.
Oh boy.
David Horowitz is a wonderful fella and a great historian, and was active during that period. And he made a big
Write it down, Greg. You've never heard of this guy.
transition. He was raised as a communist, and then by his parents, and
Well, obviously not by wolves.
then he was the editor of Ramparts magazine, and
It's great. It's a great story so far.
then he had a really an eye-opening, very traumatic event of his own.
Did his sister wear a vial of his blood around her neck and freak him out?
And he turned at that time, but he knew all the players. And I would say that anybody who's really interested, and people say, I'm interested in the truth and all of that.
Yeah, but they're not really.
If you're really interested in the truth, pick up his book, Radical Son.
Radical Son. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no radical son. Let's see. Radical Son, David Horowitz. There we go. A Generational Odyssey by David Horowitz. Let's see. A summation. Kirkus Reviews. One moment. This is the book. David Horowitz, Radical Son, with the star over the I, and you see it in the darkness, and the O is in the sun. It's good stuff. Got it. Okay, sure. A sharply detailed panoramic memoir of a red diaper baby and leftist activist who converted to a political conservatism. Born in 1939. Well, that's happened to a lot of people. And again, what the fuck does this have to do with right wing versus left wing in the United States? Are there Marxist activists in the United States? Yeah. Are there sovereign citizen libertarians who want to tear down the Constitution and think that the federal government's existence is a violation of their personal freedoms? Yeah. So what? They're the same assholes. Red diaper baby? Criminy. This dude's just Ayn Rand. That's what you're talking about. It's just another Ayn Rand. Here turns into study of intellectual development in troubled time. He writes lovingly, but with some exasperation. Really? Does his pen go off the page? Oh, I can't finish the sentence. And emotionally scarred by his own impoverished childhood, many of us were, blacklisted and forced to leave teaching in the 1950s. What was he blacklisted for? So did he just become conservative because he learned his lesson, because he was blacklisted? He was like, well, if I ever want to work again, I got to be a right-winger. I don't know. Horowitz continued the revolutionary traditions of the 60s and 70s, finally rejecting the left during the beleaguered Carter presidency. Why was it beleaguered? Had double the number of jobs added than Trump did. Beleaguered. Along the way, he recounts his years as an anti-war movement leader and journalist. He was an editor at Ramparts. Did he just read from this? Am I reading the exact same descriptive that Jon Voight was just reading? As an active sympathizer of the Black Panthers, eek, with whom he later broke. What was the? Probably because he was white. Horowitz traces his disaffection to multiple causes, including the lunatic acts of violence group like the Weather Underground, the lunatic rhetoric of... Oh, so these people are lunatics. I see. So Kirkus is writing its own... Let's see. He had accepted the label neoconservative because his preferred term liberal had been co-opted by the left. Terrible. Yeah, again, define left. Horowitz is usually generous in descriptions of peers of the movement, though he clearly dislikes Tom Hayden and Todd Gitlin. Yeah, I mean, me too. Who? And he was more likely to engage in self-criticism than to deride those who, in his view, have not yet seen the light. The light of Jon Voight. Oh, no, that's wrong. That's not him. Where is it? Here it is. Yes, Jon Voight.
Another one by his friend Peter Collier, and he...
I can't look up another book, man. What, you have a picture of Gandhi on your wall? It's clearly not because of his nonviolent activism and his belief in racial equality. Is it because of the whole quinine thing?
It's called A Destructive Generation. And that'll give you a good
Yeah, I loved his third book, Damn Hippies.
portrait of what was going on in the 60s. And it was a takeover by the left. And we've seen it, during the Reagan years, there was a little bit of a pause. And then after the Soviet Union collapsed, everybody relaxed. And
that was our big mistake. We should have kept fighting them even after they changed.
And then the left made further inroads and finally took over. And that's what we're dealing with right now.
Well, you mentioned Reagan, Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that Reagan. See, I thought I was mistaken. I thought he was talking about... Never mind.
Great president, and there's a movie coming out next year. You're in it. It's called Reagan, very simply. It's set
Is it about Ronald Reagan, though, or is it about a different Reagan?
to be released in 2022. Dennis Quaid plays Reagan, and, we've got some footage here.
Ooh. Greg, do you pay attention at the goddamn pre-production meetings or not? You are always caught off guard by everything. Look at your notes. They give you shit.
Of it in production.
It's under production. It's above and beside. It's beside production.
Let's take a look here. Quaid looks pretty good.
Dude, you can't even fucking see him. Quaid looks pretty good. It's a dead ringer. Yeah. Can you see? I love how they got his nasal labial folds correct. You can see all the affectations. That's his walk. He always changed his walk when he walked over rubber mats for sound. By the way, that's what those are for. So that they're walking on crunchy track, but they put those on the ground right where the line begins so that the sound guy, the boom dude, can hear them as they go by and their mics don't pick up the that's impossible to edit out later because there's 5 guys around him and everybody's going to be stepping on one of the line.
And tell us a little bit about your character. You actually play a KGB agent.
Oh my God. Are we? So the KGB thing was just it was just a grandpa moment. He just can't, that's what he just did, so he can't think about anything else.
Yeah, that's why I probably mentioned the KGB.
You think? Well,
because I knew what they were
Well, I was better in inner space.
doing at the time in the 60s from the research that I did and from having been in the 60s. But
Yeah, that was the research.
anyway, I play a character who's a KGB,
Agent?
kind of a former KGB guy who's kind of turned.
Kind of?
And he's asked by a young fellow coming up what happened during that time. Why did we give up without a fight? Talking about the Soviet Union. And I sit him down and tell him the story of Ronald Reagan. And
Really? This is the whole premise of this fucking movie is, Papa, why did we not destroy the rotten Americans? Why didn't we not wipe them from the planet with the nuclear first strike and obliterate them? I've seen war games. We both masturbated to it. Why couldn't we do such thing? Well, that's because no one could be as good as Ronald Reagan. And let me tell you a story. Now understand that in my story, you will picture Reagan in your head as younger and fitter than he kind of ever was. But don't let that bother you.
and to that degree, I'm in a strong part of the film.
Yes, I think you're a strong. I mean, what better narration of a Ronald Reagan biopic than a disgruntled KGB agents who like, you know what? You got to give it to the Americans. They know some. Let me tell you.
Sir, you have a special relationship with Donald Trump. He
Had. Oops.
awarded you the Presidential Medal of Freedom, richly deserved, of course. Quite a moment for you. Tell us a little bit about why.
Yeah, you both look very excited.
Why you thought
He gave it to you?
He was so good for America. I guess you're like the rest of us. You liked his policies, but you know more about him than we do. What was it about Donald Trump that...
Turn around, look that way, will you? I gave it to you because you like me.
Got your attention?
Well, there's a whole lot of things about...
Yeah, please.
But, I mean, he's an answer to so many of the problems.
Yeah, he was, these women thinking they can walk around without getting their crotch grabbed. Got to put a stop to that.
And that's why he's taken so much heat. Because...
Is it? Is it really, John?
He's very effective as...
No, he wasn't.
A leader. He's the real thing. He's a real...
How did he lead? What was it, the 15 cases that'll go down to 0? Was that the moment of leadership? What was your, oh, that's so true. You know, if we just build a wall, we don't have to worry about anything else. Just make a big wall, put my name on it. It'll be a monument to the fact that I was president, and the wall will work. Of course, everybody's climbing over it, but who gives a shit? The fact is, I got it made, and now I get to drive by it and go, the Great Wall of Trump.
Real leader. He's a problem solver.
Oh, I see. So one of the problems, apparently, according to Jon Voight, was we had 600,000 too many Americans.
He has unlimited energy.
That's Benzo's crushed Sudafed, which is basically meth and Adderall.
And he has great instincts. And all the promises that he made coming to the first election in 2016 were followed through on.
Every one of them? So Mexico did pay for the wall?
Every one. So
so we had the cleanest air and the cleanest water we've ever had, even though he never did a single thing to remove all, fix the lead pipes in the United States. Nothing? No?
That's quite a unique thing. They say
it's an absurd thing. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Say one of them. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? The VA Choice Act of 2014 was part of Donald Trump's legacy?
If you want to say this is unprecedented, this event, I say that's unprecedented, that somebody means what they say and follows through.
What are you talking about? You just did a movie about Reagan, where basically light shines out of his ass. That his very existence turned a KGB agent, according to you. And it was like, well, it was the greatest ever in this whole thing, Well, so look into my eyes, and I'll make you understand the joys of laissez-faire capitalism and trickle-down economics.
So anyway, for all of those reasons, and look what he accomplished. Look at the amazing accomplishments of Donald.
Yeah, look at him. List them off, please. Do a list.
Trump. He was a true friend of Israel, of course.
Do we bother to go back and look at Netanyahu talking about Obama as one of the greatest friends that Israel's ever had? Has anybody been like, fuck Israel ever since its creation in this country? Except maybe Reagan?
And the Abraham Accords were bringing that part of the world to a peace it's never seen.
Those countries were never at war with Israel. We gave them $50 billion worth of munitions with a promise like, hey, whatever you do, don't use them on Israel, okay? Sure, we won't do that until you are out of office.
And he fixed our economy.
Did he fix it? Did he? Did he fix it? Because it seems like last year he fucked it up and it cost $6 trillion to salvage it during the pandemic because he's like, I talked to China. They've been it's no big deal.
Had everybody at work.
Everybody at work.
And did so many things, like just even visiting the White House, the way he took care of the White House.
Yeah, it's so much better. Like it was, when Obama was there, it was a dump. When the Clintons were there, there were Playboys laying out all over the desks, and he'd shuffle around like a penguin with his pants around his ankles. It was gross.
And, brought Christmas back to us.
Christmas! Finally. That's a man who does what he means and says what he does. Christmas. Get the fuck out of here. He finally ended the Fox war on Christmas by, we're going to say Merry Christmas again. Fucking Christmas.
And all these lovely things that he did. But also on the front of interacting with leadership across the world, he was quite amazing. The way he handled himself with all of the so-called villains of the world.
The so-called villains of the world? Yeah, so-called. Kim Jong-un's not a villain. People just paint him that way. So what if he keeps everybody in basically modern gulags and assassinates members of his own family to get in office and stuff like that? I mean, isn't that just strong leadership? The so-called villains of Vladimir Putin and
there's some dangerous people out there, of course.
Yeah, but why are they playing this video?
He was able to make, get relationships with each of these guys.
And do what? Kim Jong-un increased his nuclear weapons during the Trump presidency. He got longer range missiles without any pushback from us. We just kind of went over there, please don't do that. Okay, yeah, I won't. Sure, whatever. Just send Dennis Rodman over with a fruit basket.
And they had great respect for him. And, of course,
Yeah, they had great respect for him because he's fucking one of them.
Dealt with
Well, he wishes. Thank God for, honestly, we all dodged a bit of a bullet because he as much of a lunatic as he is, he's not as capable as far as Putin and these other guys.
The villainy of Iran.
Luckily.
In a very specific way. And now we're returning Iran to the position of getting a nuclear weapon. This is a horror. And there are many.
What are you talking about? They reconstituted their nuclear program during Trump because he broke the deal. We're getting back into the deal, so they won't. I don't even know what is this? All right, I guess, can you snort Newsmax? Is that what happens, John?
Things that are happening right now that we have to,
No, I don't.
We have to
what? Say it.
Put up a fight against because,
sure.
For instance, our economy, the way they're throwing money around, eventually this will break us down.
Oh yeah, really? It will? Like $2.5 trillion for the military during peacetime and $1 trillion deficit every year anyways, and driving interest rates down to 0.25%? You mean where you literally, when you run into stuff, the only way you could get us back to some semblance of normal at some point is to throw money at the economy, because there is no lending to be had, even though you've driven it down there, given the biggest tax cuts away that you could possibly get away with, and you've got nowhere else. You've primed the pump.
Thing, sir, your legacy is secure. You're a Hollywood great. You don't have to do anything ever again.
Please don't. So please come on here anytime you want and just tell us, as the Biden presidency gets better and better and better, how much worse it's actually getting, because maybe we can't see it because the stock market's doing so well.
To be a historical figure in Hollywood, but I'm curious, have you taken a hit in terms of opportunities because you're a vocal Trump supporter? I mean, the cancel culture, we hear about it every day.
Greg, your acting career is safe. Don't worry.
What has been the backlash for you in Hollywood?
Well, Greg, look, people hire their buddies, and
that's what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, tell them, John. It's not who you know, it's who you blow, buddy. Tell them.
I'm in a situation where I still have a few friends in Hollywood, but it's difficult for people who announce they're conservative. Yes, for sure.
Well, but no, it doesn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is not. That's a lie. That is a lie. It happens all the fucking time. You don't get in trouble saying you're conservative in Hollywood. You do get in trouble when you start talking about how gay people shouldn't have the right to marry, and we got to stop all these Mexicans coming across and they send rapists and that kind of stuff. When you're a Trump supporter, that's what that means to Hollywood. And if you clarify, they don't give a shit. Look at there's dozens of people who are right wing who work in the industry, largely alongside of lefties who don't care either way. Again, using left and right, whatever that is. I mean, Caviezel, it has been like he's been since the Passion of the Christ, right? He's been in the in the Mel Gibson loop in a lot of ways, as sort of a religious conservative in those regards. And they've given him a pass because he can play Superman. He looks the part. They don't care. At some point, if your weird, like, anti-American sentiment, your psychotic hatred and your xenophobia makes people go, well, let's see. It's not that he's conservative. It's that he's a real dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter, and we have a couple of gay cast members, and we don't need him talking shit to them about their lifestyle while they're trying to work. Is Christopher Walken busy?
But that has to be now. We have to make a stand. You have to state who you are. You can't be afraid. You can't cower.
Dude, my name's on all my shit. My agents hate it. Tough.
For this thing, because it hurts a lot of people coming up. You have to make a little bit of a stand here now. Not a little bit. I say these words. I say a little bit of a stand, but you got to stand
a lot of it. I mean, obviously, open carry is what he's talking about.
Up against this stuff, it's not right, And it's really what I feel is, look, I'm an older fella, and I'm not going to be around forever. And if I can do something to help the future generations yet unborn to taste the
adrenochrome.
American dream,
okay.
And to have.
I mean, he's old school Hollywood. If anybody qualifies for being part of the Illuminati,
the freedoms that were fought for.
Sorry, Jim Caviezel, Henry Cavill. Beg your pardon. Yes.
And bled for.
Jim, what was Caviezel? Wasn't Caviezel Passion though?
Over time.
I so don't care. I'm a Marvel guy.
That I received as a young man coming up. If I can do anything toward that, I'm going to do it.
Dude, modern Jon Voight would have campaigned against Midnight Cowboy. Young Jon Voight did Midnight Cowboy. That's your problem. Hollywood didn't go left.
So that's much more important to me than any of this other small political stuff. I mean, politics of the small politics.
Yeah, the small politics or whatever. You know what I mean? Like cocktail wieners versus, hemp, phyllo dough, Toast-Its, and little mushroom canapes and stuff. Don't you pick your Oscar party based on what they serve?
The big politics, sure. I'm in,
Well, someone of your caliber, your stature, on our side, it's inspiring.
What the fuck is our side again, asshole? No, have you noticed that in this, at no point did they express any distinction about what they think the left is or what they think is actually right as far as right wing? They just are like, as much, you have to do this, you got to kiss the ass of this. Well, what is it then? What is it that you will not or cannot do? What is it? Seriously, I see this shit all the time. Explain yourself. The left wants to at least do the defund the police, because that's what you mean, and have the 85% of us go, we don't want to defund the police at all, and the other 15% go, yeah, we do, because we want to hire more clinicians and psych workers. And which part do you have a problem with?
And kind of reinforces us, and thank you very much.
It reinforces us. Yeah. So let me get this straight, Greg. According to you, having famous Hollywood actors support your cause buttresses your argument, right? Is that, just so we're clear? Can I put that? Can we just mark that on the whiteboard for later when you start complaining about whether or not having a Hollywood actor on your side makes your point more valid? Because then you got to kind of deal with the fact that the, quote, other side of this argument, which you call left but I would call normalcy, that has a lot of people. A lot of people. So maybe You have, I mean, how many? You got Scott Baio, Jon Voight, Dean Cain, Kevin Sorbo, and Ted Nugent. That's it.
Jon Voight, continued success. All the best.
Okay, Greg. Thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Okay, bye. Okay. By the way, if you ever want a vial of my daughter's blood, let me know. We got tons of it around here. I froze it over the years.